Chapter 24 of the Book of Snobs. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Tom Clifton. The Book of Snobs by William Makepeace Thackeray. Chapter 24, on some country snobs. Tired of the town, where the sight of the closed shutters of the nobility, my friends, makes my heart sick in my walks, afraid almost to sit in those vast Pall Mall solitudes, the clubs, and of annoying the club waiters who might, I thought, be going to shoot in the country, but for me I determined on a brief tour in the provinces and paying some visits in the country, which were long due. My first visit was to my friend Major Ponto, H.P. of the Horse Marines, in Mangelwurzelshire. The Major in his little phaeton was in waiting to take me up at the station. The vehicle was not certainly splendid, but such a carriage as would accommodate a plain man, as Ponto said he was, and a numerous family. We drove by beautiful fresh fields and green hedges, through a cheerful English landscape. The high road, as smooth and trim as the way in a nobleman's park, was charmingly checkered with cool shade and golden sunshine. Rustics in snowy smock frocks jerked their hats off, smiling as we passed. Children with cheeks as red as the apples in the orchards bobbed curtsies to us at the cottage doors. Blue church spires rose here and there in the distance, and as the buxom gardener's wife opened the white gate at the Major's little ivy-covered lodge, and we drove through the neat plantations of firs and evergreens up to the house, my bosom felt a joy and elation which I thought it was impossible to experience in the smoky atmosphere of a town. "Here," I mentally exclaimed, "is all peace, plenty, and happiness. Here I shall be rid of snobs. There can be none in this charming Arcadian spot." Stripes, the Major's man, formerly a corporal in his gallant corps, received my portmanteau and an elegant little present, which I had brought from town as a peace offering to Mrs. Ponto, viz., a cod and oysters from Grove's, in a hamper about the size of a coffin. Ponto's house, the Evergreens Mrs. P. has christened it, is a perfect paradise of a place. It is all over creepers and bow windows and verandas. A wavy lawn tumbles up and down around it, with flower beds of wonderful shapes and zigzag gravel walks, and beautiful but damp shrubberies of myrtles and glistening laurustines, which have procured it its change of name. It was called Little Bullock's Pound in old Dr. Ponto's time. I had a view of the pretty grounds and the stable and the adjoining village and church and a great park beyond, from the windows of the bedroom whither Ponto conducted me. It was the yellow bedroom, the freshest and pleasantest of bedchambers. The air was fragrant with a large bouquet that was placed on the writing-table. The linen was fragrant with the lavender in which it had been laid. The chintz hangings of the bed and the big sofa were, if not fragrant with flowers, at least painted all over with them. The pen-wiper on the table was the imitation of a double dahlia, and there was accommodation for my watch in a sunflower on the mantelpiece. A scarlet-leaved creeper came curling over the windows, through which the setting sun was pouring a flood of golden light. It was all flowers and freshness. Oh, how unlike those black chimney-pots in St. Albans Place, London, on which these weary eyes are accustomed to look. "It must be all happiness here, Ponto," said I, flinging myself down into the snug bergère, and inhaling such a delicious draught of country air as all the millefleurs Mr. Atkinson's shop cannot impart to any the most expensive pocket-handkerchief. "Nice place, isn't it?" said Ponto. "Quiet and unpretending. I like everything quiet. You've not brought your valet with you? Stripes will arrange your dressing things." And that functionary, entering at the same time, proceeded to gut my portmanteau, and to lay out the black kersame, the rich cut velvet Genoa waistcoat, the white choker, and other polite articles of evening costume with great gravity and dispatch. A great dinner party, thinks I to myself, seeing these preparations, and not perhaps displeased at the idea that some of the best people in the neighborhood were coming to see me. "Hark! There's the first bell ringing," said Ponto, moving away, and in fact a clamorous harbinger of victuals began clanging from the stable turret, and announced the agreeable fact that dinner would appear in half an hour. If the dinner is as grand as the dinner bell, thought I, faith, I am in good quarters, and had leisure during the half-hour's interval not only to advance my own person to the utmost polish of elegance which it is capable of receiving, to admire the pedigree of the Pontos hanging over the chimney, and the Ponto crest and arms emblazoned upon the wash-stand basin and jug, but to make 1,000 reflections on the happiness of a country life, upon the innocent friendliness and cordiality of rustic intercourse, and to sigh for an opportunity of retiring like Ponto to my own fields, to my own vine and fig tree, with placens uxor in me dominus, and 60 of sweet young pledges of affection sporting round my paternal knee. Clang! At the end of 30 minutes, dinner bell number 2 pealed from the adjacent turret. I hastened downstairs, expecting to find a score of healthy country folk in the drawing-room. There was only one person there, a tall and Roman-nosed lady, glistering over with bulges in deep mourning. She rose, advanced 2 steps, made a majestic curtsy, during which all the bulges in her awful head-dress began to twiddle and quiver, and then said, "Mr. Snob, we are very happy to see you at the Evergreens," and heaved a great sigh. This, then, was Mrs. Major Ponto, to whom, making my very best bow, I replied that I was very proud to make her acquaintance, as also that of so charming a place as the Evergreens. Another sigh. "We are distantly related, Mr. Snob," she said, shaking her melancholy head. "Poor dear Lord Rub-a-Dub." "Oh," said I, not knowing what the deuce Mrs. Major Ponto meant. "Major Ponto told me that you were the Leicester Snobs, a very old family, and related to Lord Snobbington, who married Laura Rub-a-Dub, who is a cousin of mine, as was her poor dear father, for whom we are mourning. What a seizure! Only 63, and apoplexy quite unknown until now in our family. In life we are in death, Mr. Snob. Does Lady Snobbington bear the deprivation well?" "Why, really, madam, I don't know," I replied, more and more confused. As she was speaking, I heard a sort of cloop, by which well-known sound I was aware that somebody was opening a bottle of wine, and Ponto entered, in a huge white neckcloth and a rather shabby black suit. "My love," Mrs. Major Ponto said to her husband, "we were talking about our cousin. Poor dear Lord Rub-a-Dub. His death has placed some of the first families in England in mourning. Does Lady Rub-a-Dub keep her house on Hill Street, do you know?" I didn't know, but I said, "I believe she does," at a venture, and, looking down to the drawing-room table, I saw the inevitable, abominable, maniacal, absurd, disgusting peerage open on the table, interleaved with annotations, and open at the article Snobbington. "Dinner is served," says Stripes, flinging open the door, and I gave Mrs. Major Ponto my arm. Chapter 24